Check it out, guys. This is a beautiful bike, right? And I know you guys want to hear it started, so at some point in the end of this video, I'm going to start it. I'm not going to say when. Maybe that'll incentivize you guys to have to watch the whole thing. And don't cheat. Don't, whoever watches this, timestamp it and leave the start of it, in the comments or whatever, man. Stick through the whole video because I'm going to preface it by saying this. You can see what the title says. It might not be exactly what you're thinking it is, but sometimes it takes a while for my mouth to catch up to my brain. I don't have the biggest gift of gab, so bear with me. But if you stay through and watch till the end, you not only get to hear this beautiful 2012 Harley Black Line with these Vance & Hines chromed out big radius pipes start, but you'll gain some wisdom that I've been blessed to relay, and that has been bestowed upon me as a gift. And hopefully I can articulate it in a good manner. So anyway, you see the title. I was inspired to make this video earlier today. I haven't uploaded on this channel in a while, and that's due to a variety of reasons. But I'll just say this: depression and anxiety run in my family, and I don't know. I'm gonna watch this back and see how the angle is and the view and all that, and I might have to change it up. I don't know what's in frame, what's not in frame, but hopefully you guys can hear me at least and see this bike, this beautiful bike. But anyway, yeah. So depression and anxiety run in my family. They have for as long as I can remember. And we could get into my viewpoints and sentiments regarding that whole phenomenon as well, but that could be a different video anyway. So my brother was off today, and I came home from work, and usually when I come home, I find something to eat, and so I was doing that, and coincidentally he was eating as well, and we started talking about an issue he's having with his job and his social anxiety and his whole mindset as it relates to the predicament he perceives himself to be in. And I say perceive because perception is everything. Remember, we are the beholder, and we decide I guess to a certain degree we decide. To a certain degree we are programmed by our environments growing up and just existing, and all of these stimuli that we take in on a daily basis. It gets filtered through our traumas and our the narratives that we have integrated with, and which shape and form our the ways that we view ourselves in the world and everything. But that's another video as well. Anyway, so he was telling me something about how he's having this issue at his job, and he lacks confidence, and he doesn't want to disappoint people. He doesn't want to make mistakes. He doesn't want to embarrass himself with failures and with coming up short, and he doesn't think that he's going to be happy there, and that happiness is a whole other topic. I could get onto the illusion of that in another video as well, or maybe I covered it. Check out my other videos on this channel, by the way, and feel free to leave your comments. Appreciate it if you consider subscribing and sharing this, because my goal in making these videos is to utilize the gifts that have been bestowed upon me by the divine to have a positive impact on the collective to which we all belong and which we are all a part of. And trust me, I know what it is to suffer. I know what it is to go through things and be crawling in your own skin and have a mind that seems like it's working against you, and all of these sorts of things. And coming from very modest beginnings and meager, not having enough growing up, and the whole thing, so but anyway, I'm digressing here again, and I probably will do that throughout the video because my mind's always going. But so I was starting to talk to him about this, and I've had many conversations with him. One of my biggest gifts is and also you can perceive it to be a curse as well, is to have a mind that's constantly going and constantly philosophizing and thinking about psychological phenomena and philosophical things and all that. And that's one of my biggest gifts, and I don't always do my part and my duty to utilize it to assist others on their journeys. But that's something I do want to work on. But so I was telling him, you know, why you basically, what I gathered, or from what he was telling me, part of what I gathered, not the whole thing, is that he wants to constantly, as many of us do, as we all do as humans, we resist pain and we seek out pleasure. You know, nobody wants to hurt, nobody wants to be embarrassed, nobody wants to fail. But all of these things are the greatest teachers. We learn through pain, we learn through failure. There is no other way that we learn. We learn through discomfort. The majority of us, some of us, that's not even enough, but you know, that's not the topic of this video. But the majority of us learn when our fucking when our feet are on the coals, you know, when we feel that flame biting our ass, when we feel the pain, when we feel the discomfort. That's how we learn, and that's the only way to grow. And that's the nature's way, the universe's way. Because left to our own devices, we'll rot in our comfort zone because we don't want to seek out anything. You know, we'll never grow, we'll never defeat our lower selves, we'll never manifest our higher selves unless we go through come through the flames and the fire, and, you know, slay the dragon in the cave. But so I was telling him, listen, anytime you're confronted with a challenge or an obstacle, you immediately get flustered and frustrated, and to a certain degree we all do. I'm not picking on him, I'm just trying to, you know, because for myself I could speak on that as well. Like I said, we all have to defeat that demon within ourselves. But this was a conversation I was having to try and help him, so it's relating to him. But I was saying, you find fault, you get all flustered, you lose your shit, you threaten to quit your job and all this when things don't go your way. The minute something pushes against you, you immediately fall to pieces because you don't want anything to push against you. You don't want any challenge, you don't want any adversity. You want to exist always in your comfort zone and always be comfortable, and that's not how life works. You're not going to grow, you're not going to progress, you're not going to manifest your highest self by integrating with that low level vibration, that low aspect of consciousness, that aspect of our lower selves that seeks to derail us from our divine purpose and from ascending in levels of consciousness. But so, and the reason, and you could unwrap this layer by layer as it relates to him. I'm not going to get too much into his personal information, or, you know, his personal story, because for the sake of time, and really it doesn't really matter all that much. But as I explained, you know, social anxiety, he doesn't want any attention on him whatsoever. And what happens when you dip your toe in that unknown water? You might drown, you might fail, you might come up short, and this brings attention to you, and you don't want attention on you. He doesn't want attention on him. He wants to be that kid in the back of the class with the hoodie on, doodling in the notebook, that thinks he's anonymous but is actually drawing attention to himself. But yeah, and so you can see my motorcycle here. You can see I put these engine guard on here. I didn't used to have it, but I've been wanting and meaning to start practicing my slow speed maneuvers more, U-turns and all that stuff that you learn in the beginner course when you get your you know, the MSF course. And so I put these on as a measure of protection. I don't know necessarily how much protection they'll offer, but maybe it's more of a mental thing anyway. Hopefully, if, you know, I make a mistake with my clutch control and throttle control, I'm definitely not going to grab that front brake, I know that much. But in order for me to become proficient at making these slow speed maneuvers and these U-turns and all this shit that goes along with riding a motorcycle proficiently, because the majority of us can ride in a straight line, not everyone, but the majority of people can do that. I need to be okay. I need to accept the fact that I might fail and that I might drop that bike. If I don't accept that fact and I don't come to terms and make peace with that fact, I will not get anywhere in terms of increasing my skill with slow speed maneuvers. And so this is what I was explaining to him. You cannot move forward at all in any sense until you are willing to accept failure, until you are willing, quote unquote failure, because it's really not that, but that's what we've been conditioned for a variety of reasons to believe. But until we accept that possibility and surrender to that possibility and surrender ourselves to that notion and get comfortable being uncomfortable, get comfortable with feeling that bike lean over and feeling all that weight. See, we have to get comfortable feeling uncomfortable until it becomes just like nothing, until it becomes second nature, like putting on your shoes in the morning, putting one leg in your pants and then the other leg, you know? And then once you reach that point, then these things which you contemplated to the point of being paralyzed by overanalysis and fear and all this stuff that is actually a benefit, but which we quake in the presence of because we have the improper perception and understanding of the whole thing in the grand scheme of all things and the illusion of things and all of this sort of thing. So I was telling him, get comfortable feeling uncomfortable. That's very important. We have to do that. And I know I don't know, again, if I'm in frame, I'm not looking at the camera, whatever. Apologies for that, but I can't progress forward. You can't progress forward. None of us can progress forward, ascend levels of consciousness, manifest our highest selves, realize the divine purpose for our lives and all of this sort of thing if we don't take risk, if we don't venture into that if we don't run headfirst into what makes us scared, into what we're afraid of, into what brings up tremendous fear and apprehension. If we don't do that, if we don't get comfortable being uncomfortable, if we don't accept the fact that we might quote-unquote fail, that we might not have the desirous outcome, if we don't understand that failure, again, quote-unquote, is the ultimate teacher, pain is what allows us to learn. If we don't embrace all of these things, we're never going to move forward. So basically that's what I was telling him. Now another example I came up with was, growing up, he was very good at doing wheelies on a bicycle and riding a bicycle with no hands on the bars, and I was always too afraid, so I only could ride the bike with one hand on at a time. I never felt comfortable to ride with both hands on. But that's the thing. If you know anything about the physics of a bicycle, once it's up to speed, whatever it's called, the centrifugal force or the gyroscopic force or whatever the fuck it's called, once a bike is up to speed, you can remove yourself from the equation. Any input you can do, that bike is going to continue on its trajectory, whether you're on it, whether you're holding the handlebars or not. And that's the thing. We have this idea that these handlebars, that while we're holding on to them at speed, that we're controlling that bike, but it's completely unnecessary. And that's like a lot of things in life. The idea is there. We think that we're in control of so many things, and maybe we aren't to a certain extent, maybe we're not, but it's the illusion. It's that little safety thing that plays upon the mind, like these bars. We hold on to them and we think that, you know, we're safe, but it's not. But like I said, it doesn't matter. You can let go of the bars and the bike's gonna go, and it's gonna remain upright because it's on its own path and its own trajectory, and it has enough speed and momentum to keep going. So we have to let go of the metaphorical bars in our lives, and only by letting go, it's like that old saying, you can only get something by releasing it. We can let go of all of these things that we're holding on to, which we think by doing so we're controlling the outcome, and we're clinging so hard and we're trying so hard to get the favorable outcome that we're not trusting in the forces, the unseen forces, the universe that's conspiring to help us to achieve our goals, and all of these sorts of things. So that's why the title of this video is what it is, because I don't know, I just thought of that example as I was talking to him. We have to let go of the metaphorical bars. We can't be so engrossed in the illusion that we fail to see what's actually right in front of us all the while, that we fail to feel with our heart because we're so caught up in our own bullshit and all of this stuff that we're getting in our own way, and we're not allowing the universe to speak to us. We're not hearing because we're imposing ourselves too much. We're death gripping these bars when all the while the thing will ride itself without our little futile inputs and everything. I'm not saying to be reckless or careless, because it's a great responsibility to ride this bike and to be safe with it and all of that stuff, but it was just an example, and I know you guys can understand what I'm saying. Excuse me, I might not have explained it the right way or to the full extent of the idea that came to me at the moment, but I think you could get what I'm trying to say with the example, the metaphor. He was able to let go of those handlebars growing up and allow the thing to do what it's going to do, what it was created to do, what it was designed to do, without his over grasping, without his death gripping, without the overreach. A lot of times we overreach, we overstep our bounds, and we're our own worst enemies. We cause ourselves a lot of unnecessary suffering, and again, that's how we learn. But if we were just a little bit more humble, a little bit more in tune, a little bit more wise, we could learn with a lot less suffering, and we could learn from the mistakes of others and not necessarily have to repeat them ourselves. So that's the thing. The main thing is get comfortable being uncomfortable. And also the other thing is that when you actually do experience, say, this bike dropping, or say that quote-unquote failure, or that pain, or that outcome that you were hoping with all of your might wouldn't happen, most of the time, correct me if I'm wrong, but is it not as bad as you thought it was, as you imagined it to be, as you overanalyzed, as you dreamt it would be? It's usually nothing in the grand scheme of things. Like that episode of Twilight Zone, Nothing in the Dark. A lot of things are scary, and they are, and I'm not going to lie to you, and I'm not going to pretend that, I don't have my fears and things, but I'll be damned if we can all attest to the fact that more often than not, all of those things were not anywhere near what we thought they were going to be. So let go of those handlebars, get comfortable being uncomfortable, head directly into it, welcome it, welcome those failures as learning opportunities. The more times you fail, the more times you learn not to do things that way. So you're gaining knowledge, you're gaining experience, and you're giving yourself room. You're not so rigid. That's the other thing, letting go of the handlebars. There's more leeway. You're not death gripping that shit, not allowing the bike to make its little micro adjustments in the suspension and conform to the road surface and all that stuff. And again, I'm not advocating riding recklessly or putting yourself in danger on a motorcycle or endangering others. That's not the point of this video. I'll make that disclaimer right now, and hopefully you guys are intelligent enough, and I believe you are, to not get that from this. But that's what I want to say. Now, if I think of something else, I'll maybe edit it and re-upload, but hopefully this came out okay, because I have a microphone here. I didn't check if it was even recording, but now I'm gonna start the bike so you can hear this fucking thing. It sounds good, and like I said in the beginning, don't ruin it, don't timestamp it, don't ruin it for others. Do your due diligence. Don't always be looking for shortcuts and shit. You gotta gain the wisdom from the video. You have to watch the whole thing. Please feel free to leave your comments, consider subscribing, check out my other videos on this channel, check out my other channel, Ray Rivera. There's music and art and stuff on there, and again, I make these videos because I've been given a gift, and there's no ego, and I don't say that, oh, you're going to get wisdom from this video because I'm on some ego trip, or I think that I'm above anybody. It's just, I'm speaking my truth, and I know the gifts that God has given me, and I know what it is, like I said, to suffer and to observe others suffering, and hopefully I can make some sort of difference in the lives of others, because we all need somebody. We all need that hand reaching out from time to time, and there's nothing wrong with that. We're all in this together. So leave your comments. Like I said, feel free to interact. I'll do my best to answer them, and let me start this thing up so you guys can hear it. And maybe I'll make that something I do in these videos. I'll start it up, but you're not going to know when, and you're not going to know, you're not going to know when it's going to happen, so you'll have to watch it. And please don't ruin it. Don't timestamp it, don't ruin it. Put it in neutral. Prime that shit, and let me start it up here. Alright, there you go. Thanks for watching.